The thing about tying, or fly tying, is that you can never stop learning. I think if you stop learning, then you stop enjoying what you're doing. See, it's just never stop. You just keep going, learning things. Like my YouTube channel, the inspiration is the people that ask me questions. Flies I get asked to tie, some I've never heard of, never fished. You can see the ideas behind them. And then you look at your ideas and your knowledge of tying flies for many years, you combine all that together. And then you listen to, like, when you used to tie for customers and stuff, or guests. Mostly I just tied, the fly tying was based around looking after guests and looking after people that came to fish, make sure they had the right fly. But then I was on the water 60 hours a week average. So you have an insight that they'll not get for a short period of time. They're only there for 2 or 3 days and they're away. So you want them to enjoy themselves, you're looking after them, and having the right flies is great. But if you have these same people flying around the world fishing, then they come back to you and say, like, Davie, I'm fishing cicadas in New Zealand, or I'm fishing woolly buggers in America or so, or I'm fishing for steelhead. Then you combine your knowledge into that and you put it into a fly, whether it's the new style, kind of style of the flies, like Scandinavian type style, temple dog flies, or samurais, as Michael Froden, he's a great man for these type of flies, and fishes really well, he's got a lot of knowledge. But where you're fishing the Alta, I've tied flies for people that fished and caught. One gentleman caught 5 salmon for 146 pounds, and one of the flies I tied for him, he broke it in the back cast, the hook. So it's this knowledge is then I can share. I remember when I started is to try and get the patterns, trying to ask the old gentleman that's fishing out the water catching fish. Ask them their knowledge if you can. It's the first place I go is to the waters are going to fish, is to learn those first. It's good to tie and mess around. I like doing that myself and mixing up patterns, but you really need to start with the basic flies. You start with your nymphs, and if you're trout fishing anyway, because the fish will always feed and they'll always take pheasant tails and stuff. I like using natural materials if I can, like natural colour and movement and stuff. Synthetics getting in there, I like a mix in some of them as well. Certainly would recommend synthetic fibre in salt water. It lasts longer as well, but it still can swim. I mean, even in some of these flies, I do combine synthetic fibre as much because it can work. But if it's come to represent natural fly, you really can't beat natural materials. Biggest mistake is in fly tying, I'd probably say, is proportion, just getting the proportions right. Even I have to tie maybe a 1 or 2 just to get back into the feel of the fly, get it going. So some people shy away. One of the hardest sort of wet flies you could tie would probably Irish flies. They've got a bit more, some have 3, 4, 5 hackles in a wet fly, and you think, how's that going to work? But as long as you tie them in, it's only 1 turn of hackle. You're not using up the full hackle. So you don't have 5 bushy hackles, and you have only 5 turns, but 5 different feathers. So they do work. Certain flies, you could tie 10 flies, and there's one sometimes sticks out. When if you're tying 10 flies to give to or sell, they have to be what you're trying to represent and what you feel is right. But there's sometimes a fly in your box that just in the water, it's sitting perfect, it's just the way you look. Even when it's had a few and it's starting to look a bit rough, it still keeps going. I mean, I've got a fly in my box, it's a wee shrimp fly. I know I caught fish in I remember catching on it in 90 something, 94. So one day, because I was gillying 95 onwards. And I remember I was fishing the Stincher. And I always remember I think I had about 3 or 4 salmon, had a good, and one over 16 pounds. And I just landed it, and the gentleman came down and says, "What are you catching on, Dave?" And I says, "This," and he just, "That crap?" I says, "Aye." I know, I says, "It looks terrible." I says, "But I have sort of confidence in that wee fly," and it just, you see one fish. I had 7 that day.